let's hop on a train and travel to Maine. Hi everyone, welcome to a brand new Trains Are Awesome video. We're here in Boston, Massachusetts, a major city on the US East Coast. We love traveling to Boston, but today we're actually traveling from Boston. Let's head over to Boston North Station to find out more about this amazing trip we have planned for today. Boston North Station shares a complex with TD Garden, the home of the Boston Celtics basketball team. The passenger train hall looks like this. It is not very aesthetic or grand, but it's functional. We tried to avoid it today, however, because of this horrific noise being made by a concrete saw in the middle of the concourse. Hi everyone, and welcome to an insanely noisy Boston North Station. I'm going to step outside for a little bit and tell you about our exciting trip today. Today I'm traveling with Lindsey, and we are going to be riding Amtrak's Downeaster. The Downeaster is a service that runs 5 times a day in both directions between Boston North Station and Brunswick, Maine. And there's a lot of reasons why this is a really cool line to ride. First of all, it's the only Amtrak train to leave out of North Station, and that means it's the only Amtrak train in the entire network that isn't connected to any other route. Second, it's the only line that go to New Hampshire or Maine. Third, it uses these NPCUs, non-powered control units, which used to be the F40 locomotives that were a staple of Amtrak travel. They took out all the engines, turned the engine into a baggage car, and the front of the train is now a control unit. They're often called Cabbage Cars, and I just got a peek of ours. It'll be the first thing we see once we head to the platform. We're going to be traveling in business class today. We bought our tickets during the Amtrak Buy One, Bring One sale, so these tickets to Portland, Maine cost $25 for both of us, and the upgrade to business class was through the Bid Up program, and that cost $5 each. So we will be traveling to Portland, Maine from Boston for $17.50. Our train today is the only Amtrak train to leave in the sea of MBTA commuter rail trains. While Lindsey bravely waited in line for Dunkin' Donuts, I went to go see if there was a way to escape the absolutely awful noise coming from that construction site. Since Boston North is a commuter rail station, you can access the platforms before your Amtrak train's scheduled departure time. So we ended up just going to see the train. This is the Cabbage. So like I said, there's no engine in this thing, it's just the driver's controls and a baggage area. The Cabbage is on the back side of the train so that when you're boarding, you don't have to walk by a loud, stinky locomotive. I think my favorite thing about the Downeaster so far is the special little markings that are on the train. Hopefully they'll let us on soon. It leaves in about 5 minutes. A few minutes after scheduled departure time, they finally let us aboard the train. Because we had a business class ticket for this seat, we didn't have to walk far at all. Our car was the rearmost passenger car. Wow, these business class seats on this Amfleet car look inviting. I can't wait to try them out. In fact, why wait? Let's just plop right down. So the first thing I noticed is that they're insanely comfortable. Now normally when I travel Amtrak, I travel in coach, which also has the very comfortable seats and the very generous legroom. What made business class special was that it was in a 2+1 arrangement, meaning that we actually had wider seats. The seats have footrests, leg rests, as well as a generous recline, which are all controlled by little handles on the side of the seat. Passengers in wheelchairs also have the option of sitting in business class. There are power sockets just like in coach class, and a very wide table that you can put food or drinks on. Speaking of food or drinks, because we're business class passengers, we get 1 complimentary non-alcoholic beverage on this trip. That's pretty exciting. And finally, if you're traveling by yourself, you're expected to sit on the side that only has 1 seat by the window, so couples and other people traveling together can sit together. A few minutes late, we depart Boston North Station. Remember that the Downeaster is the only Amtrak train to leave from Boston North Station. All other trains leave from Boston south, and because of this, the Downeaster is the only Amtrak train that is entirely separated from the rest of the Amtrak network. Now, one of my favorite things about train travel is the people that you travel on the train with. You never know when you're going to hear an interesting story from somebody. The ladies behind us were talking about how they were helping their boyfriend cheat on his wife, and that really wasn't the kind of interesting story that I was wanting to hear on this trip. So I was very relieved when the cafe attendant stepped out into the business class section of the car and told us all about our options as business class passengers. Here's what she said.
Just want to let all of you guys know that since you guys have had your tickets in, oh my goodness, head talk, you are more than welcome to come up to the cafe anytime. Also, since you guys are a business class, you get a free non-alcoholic beverage that includes any of the sodas, water, juice, coffee, tea, pretty much anything your heart can desire except for a couple things. Do have Pepsi products though.
Do have Pepsi products though, was the last thing she said. And that is another unique feature of the Downeaster. It may not be the most notable feature, but the company that runs the cafe car on the Downeaster trains has a contract with Pepsi, while the regular Amtrak cafes have a contract with Coca-Cola, meaning if you're on the Lakeshore Limited or the Wolverine, you'll get a Coke, but here on the Downeaster, you'll have to do with Pepsi. The tracks we're running by now are actually part of the Green Line extension, which will be a new segment of the MBTA subway Green Line. Now, the Downeaster takes the MBTA Lowell line, even though the Haverhill line would be a more direct route. The Haverhill line is very full, so the Downeaster uses a track known as the Wildcat branch to pass from the Lowell line to the Haverhill line. And this is exactly the point where the Wildcat branch meets up with the Haverhill line. In case you haven't noticed yet, we really like trains here. Maybe you really like trains too. Or maybe you're more into travel and you're wondering how to do it in a sustainable way. Maybe you're just here because you're having trouble sleeping and the sound of my voice for some weird reason helps you fall asleep. Whatever the case may be, have you considered subscribing to Trains Are Awesome? We have train-related content like this at least once a week, and many weeks we do it twice a week. We would love to have you join the community. There are options to follow us on social media and Patreon as well, so please get involved because trains are awesome. Anyways, we just crossed the Merrimack River, which means we're arriving at Haverhill, Massachusetts. Haverhill lies close to the northern border of Massachusetts with New Hampshire. It is the final stop on the MBTA Haverhill line and our last stop in Massachusetts. There goes Haverhill Station. Time to stretch the legs and head to the cafe. The cafe is in the same car as the business class section on these Amfleet cars. The menu on the Downeaster, like I said before, it looks different and is different from regular Amtrak trains. You have the option to sit in the cafe part of the car, but I decided to bring our complimentary business class drinks back to my lovely wife so we could drink them in the comfort of our seats. Like that, we are in the state of New Hampshire, home of fictional President Jeb Bartlett. The 3 stations that the Downeaster serves in New Hampshire are actually the only Amtrak stations in the entire state. Even in springtime, this section of the tracks was so beautiful. I cannot imagine what this looks like in the fall. I guess that's another thing to add to my bucket list. Anyways, our first stop in New Hampshire is the town of Exeter. Notice that Downeaster sign over there? Not only do the trains have their own markings, the stations have their own design that is different from regular Amtrak stations as well. And here's the reason behind that. You see, in the case of the Downeaster, Amtrak is just a subcontractor to the state of Maine. The state has a body known as the Northern New England Passenger Rail Association, and it is this body that contracts Amtrak to provide trains and staff, because Amtrak has a lot of trains and the state of Maine doesn't. Likewise, they hire a different company to provide food service on the Downeaster. It is because the Downeaster is run by the state of Maine that they have their own branding on the trains and on the stations. But don't worry, you can completely book an Amtrak Downeaster ticket on Amtrak.com, and all Amtrak sales apply to the Downeaster as well, unless specifically noted. If you couldn't tell already, we're now on the most important room of the train. It's time for a bathroom review. Now, Amtrak is very generous with its bathrooms. Every car has more than one, and oh my goodness, the toilet water is blue. That is a quirk of these Amfleet trains. If anybody knows why that is, please let me know in the comments. Everything was clean and in working order. There's power sockets, water, soap, everything you might need for a pleasant toilet experience. Speaking of pleasant experiences, my fellow passengers had abandoned their conversation about assisted infidelity and were sound asleep, so we could just sit back, relax, and enjoy the New England views. By now we had left New Hampshire behind us and were in the beautiful state of Maine. Now let's talk a little bit about the history of the Downeaster. The Downeaster is actually a relatively new Amtrak train, having only started operations in 2001 between Boston and Portland, Maine, where we're going today. However, in 2012 the train was extended to serve Brunswick, Maine. Currently there are 5 round trips a day, and there is an extra evening train leaving Boston on days that the Boston Celtics play. In its 2 years of existence, the Downeaster has proven to be a very popular route, and economists estimate that the route has added several $billion to the area's economy. By the way, we're now passing through Old Orchard Beach, which is a seasonal stop on the Downeaster and the only part of the train where you can catch a view of the Atlantic Ocean. After Old Orchard Beach, our train crosses over the Scarborough River Delta, where the Scarborough River meets the Atlantic Ocean. Personally, I thought this was the most beautiful scenery of an already incredibly scenic trip. Now let's discuss one more Downeaster fact, and that is the name. Although it seems counterintuitive, when talking about going to Maine, you are supposed to say you are going down east, not up east or up north or whatever. Because of that, the name of the train is the Downeaster. Now we're arriving in Portland pretty soon, and when we do, the conductor will explain exactly what maneuver this train is about to make. About 15 minutes away from Portland. Thank you. It feels pretty nice out here.
It's almost warmer than Boston.
I think it is warmer than Boston. Now let's quickly talk about the normal composition of the Downeaster. The passenger cars are Amfleet cars, and on the north end is a P42 diesel locomotive, while on the south end there is a Cabbage Car. However, this is scheduled to change when the current consists will be replaced by the brand new Siemens Intercity train sets, which Amtrak has ordered for the Northeast Corridor and several state-supported services. About a 10-minute walk from the Portland train station is this side of the old Union Station. Now there is the plan to turn this back into the Portland station. First, because trains could just keep going straight without having to back out. And second, because it's closer to downtown Portland. Wait, does that locomotive say Pan Am Railways? Like the airline? That sounds like something I need to make a video about. Stay tuned. Well, that was my first time seeing that 50th anniversary heritage unit, so that was a fun bonus. With a population of about 68,000, Portland is a very small city for American standards, but it is actually the largest city in the state of Maine. It's not the capital though. That title goes to Augusta. Lindsey had never tried a lobster roll before, so we had to go to a diner and get one. RIP our wallet, and RIP these lobsters. Portland, of course, is not the only Portland in a country full of Portlands. In fact, there's a famous Portland known as Portland, Oregon, and this Portland was named Portland because the founders tossed a coin to decide whether it would be called Boston or Portland, and Portland won. In fact, earlier this summer I released a bunch of videos about the public transportation in Portland, Oregon, as well as a trip report on the Empire Builder, one of Amtrak's most iconic trains, so if you haven't already, go ahead and check that out. Of course, that is a completely different side of the country. We had a great day doing some shopping and trying all sorts of food here in Portland, Maine, but unfortunately it was time to go. On the bus back to Portland Transit Center. Bus driver left to go pee, it's just us. Portland Transit Center is located way too far from the actual city of Portland, and aside from serving the Downeaster, it also serves the Concord Coach bus system, which can also get you to Boston, although of course I recommend the Downeaster. The waiting area actually has a departure screen for flights from Boston Logan Airport, and a lot of people that were on our train this morning actually came from the airport and took the train home. If you're in a bit of a pinch and you need to get to Boston ASAP, there is a service counter where they will sell you bus tickets to Boston up until moments before departure. Speaking of departures, so we're here back at Portland Transit Center, about to hop on the last Downeaster south to Boston North Station. Should be pulling in just a minute from now. How did you like the Downeaster?
Well, it was really convenient that we were in business class, but I thought the staff was very friendly and the ride was felt pretty quick, so I enjoyed it a lot.
Shout out to the cafe attendant on our train. You were really great. Yeah, it's a quick ride. It's about 3 hours to Portland. Business class was really nice. We're going back in coach, but it's Amtrak, so that's really nice too. The free drink in business class was really helpful. It helped us stay hydrated. And I like that this connection is 5 times a day, that it stops frequently, that it has beautiful scenery. Amtrak Downeaster met all my expectations. It was a great train. Our Downeaster bound for Boston is pulling in now. This is the last train of the day, and it is being pulled by P42 number 116 with P42 number 118 on the other end. As far as I know, it's unusual for a Downeaster to have a locomotive on both ends instead of a cabbage on the southern end, but if I'm wrong, please feel free to correct me in the comments. The way back was actually pretty eventful, so please allow me to summarize our trip back to Boston before we end this video. So our first disappointment of the trip back is that we were planning to buy dinner in the cafe car, but due to a staffing issue, the cafe was closed.
Good thing we have a massive cookie.
We also ran backwards for a few miles to let a northbound train pass us on a siding, and then finally, once we had reached the Boston suburbs, there was a broken MBTA commuter rail train in front of us, so we didn't know if we could take the Lowell line back or if we would have to reroute to the Haverhill line. Finally, with a little bit of a delay, we made it back to Boston North Station. Thanks for watching today. Please subscribe to Trains Are Awesome, and we'll see you next time.